challenges and situations we faced made us to call for this president, a more important one. I'll go straight and state the reason why this meeting was called. Press statement. I start. Front of Nigerian democracy. WIKE, INEC, police impose Kubara on Rivers people. According to political elites, democracy is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. Therefore, any government that is not the collective decision and will not of the people runs contrary to the principles and ethos of democracy. With the report we have about the political jamboree in Rivers State last Saturday, it is clear that the political system in the state has veiled of the track of sanity, decorum, goodwill, freedom of participation, which are juicy parts of democracy. What happened in Rivers State falls below what can be adjudged as good, not to talk of credible. The rascality displayed by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC officials, the Nigeria police can only be described as worrisome. It is disheartening that institutions that should be trusted as murdered their ruptured dignity and the altar of corruption. Like we said earlier, what happened in Rivers State on Saturday does not qualify as election. In a sane society, by this time, a staff of INEC and police officers who took part in the election should have been either queried or arrested and prosecuted for giving impetus to criminality in the guise of conducting an election. We have believed that based on the probable widespread irregularities, killings, intimidations, harassment, and other issues, that the electoral umpire would have held down the announcement of the result of the polls, because a process that is faulty cannot produce a credible result. In Ghana local government area, where I am from, original result sheets were not brought to the unit. Rather, the duplicate copies of result sheets were what was brought to wards and units by the INEC. We believe that this happened under the nose of INEC officials. There is no way INEC will tell the whole world that they are not aware that what they had in the kitchen was not the correct materials needed for a credible poll. The overall intention for this was not just to disenfranchise the Ogoni people, but to fool us. In the same local government, ballot papers that were sent to the polling unit were not those, or were those of Ikole local government. It was deliberate, while the real materials were sent to homes of PDP leaders, where results that are supposed to come from the same area were written and announced. What a show of shame. This whole development led to a serious protest because the people they brought were fools. They thought the people they brought were fools. The game plan, were fools, realized the game plan. When our youth took to the streets of Bori, the next thing we saw was police coming to shoot at us. They were shooting directly at the protesters, and 2 people were allegedly killed. Many of the people sustained injuries. This whole situation made people to stand down the poll. We refused to vote, but to our greater surprise, votes were allocated to PDP and other political parties. And Sir SYMFONI was declared winner of an election that did not hold. In another development, an Ogoni was shot dead in Ogbunabari for voting for the SDP governorship candidate. It is on record. We have this relative that you can contact for confirmation. A man was killed in Ahoda West local government, one Chisom from Abua local government, and many other places. Yet results come from all those wards and local government that PDP won. It is worthy of note that any man who benefits from a crisis situation is either the masterminder of the act or knows who the beneficiaries of the situation is. Now, you see that in all of these results, there were declared that was declared on top of blood of innocent citizens who were killed, and the PDP was declared winner in all these areas. This leaves us with a big question. In most parts of Obiakpon, Port Harcourt City, Emohua, Ikore, and others, a town crier was moved around communities announcing that anyone who will not vote for the PDP on the Saturday's governorship and State House of Assembly election should not come near the polling unit. Many persons who thought it was a mere joke and came out to vote against the PDP were beaten blue-black. What a nation! This report were made to the INEC, and they swept it under the carpet and went ahead to give people a concocted result. On one hand, using a town crier on the evening of the election contravenes section of the Electoral Act. That act led to the disenfranchisement of many voters. People were afraid to come out and vote their conscience or their choice. According to section 21, 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act, INEC has been mandated to suspend or cancel elections in units, wards, and local government areas where violence, intimidation, insecurity, and threat were recorded that would affect the result of the polls. It is a big question that despite all that has happened, INEC still violated its act to declare a winner. Why did INEC refuse to adhere strictly to its guidelines? Is a show of shame. We also record the incidents of ballot snatching and shooting by the security operative, especially the police that in the same society that should provide security for the polls only cause breakdown of law and order during the democratic exercise. It is a pity that this country is dividing too low by the day. We are worried that up to this moment, a state of emergency has not been declared in Rivers State. However, it is our firm view that election was not conducted in Rivers State on Saturday, and no winners emerged, because you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and God bless. The South-South Youth Initiative is not an affiliation of any political party. Secondly, the South-South Youth Initiative is speaking as a community youth organization that felt that a need ought to be done to Rivers people. Unfortunately, what we considered was for the first time the people came out to vote their choice. For the first time that people registered massively and went to INEC to request for their PVC. Even those that couldn't get their PVC before the election were also worried. We're also sure that INEC refused to register some other observers because of their secret plot. INEC was also approached. We approached INEC requesting to be one of the observers, but we are denied the process because they felt we were going to expose their inner secret. Because we are also aware that INEC was bribed. We can say it very clearly, that INEC was bribed to announce a concocted result. Because if INEC wasn't bribed, it's also one of the INEC guidelines that you cannot announce a result in a polling unit where election never held. In my polling unit, Unit 21, Ward 15, in Kenya local government, there was no election. There was no election, but there was a result in that polling unit. At the same vein, why would INEC claim to be ignorant of sending a ballot paper meant for Ikore local government to Kenya and they still want people to vote? We also went further to investigate the result sheet sent by INEC and discovered that most of the result sheets that INEC sent to our local government were photocopying results instead of the original. It is also very unfortunate that INEC officials went further to intimidate electorate, especially those that was not supposed to vote or refused to vote for PDP. They went further to intimidate them. Some were set up, and the police also went further to intimidate people and then work with INEC, work with PDP to intimidate people. We were also told that police was not supposed to accompany any politicians to polling units, but police were seen all around the polling unit accompanying politicians that came to vote and even came to hijack ballot buses. In Rivers State, what happened in Rivers State was not election. We also are aware how the people of Rivers State refused to vote for the PDP candidate. But unfortunately, because we have a situation that is not a society that cannot be seen to be a credible one, INEC and Mahmoud decided to rig Rivers result as well as other state results in Nigeria. We are also trying to make INEC understand that people are wiser, and as the time goes by, we are going to come out to take our stand against INEC.
As far as the governorship and state houses
We stated this before, and we are still going to say it again, that since there was not election in Rivers State, since the election in Rivers State was characterized by violence and intimidations, tank royal going to communities to tell people, if you are not going to vote for the PDP candidate, please don't come out. And a lot of people was intimidated. Those who thought it was just a joke was intimidated at the polling unit. At this point, it is in allied guidelines that when there is a situation like this, you cannot continue with the election. So we want INEC to cancel the election. The election that took place in Rivers State is condemnable in the highest level, and we do not see this as election. So at this point, we are requesting that INEC should do the needful. That is, if INEC want to prove to Rivers people that they wasn't bribed to conduct this election, because the whole finger is pointed to INEC, that INEC was bribed because they refused to adhere to their own guidelines. INEC set up a guideline for themselves, but they also failed the same guidelines they set for themselves. So for that reason, we are requesting for the cancellation of this result. INEC ordinarily should have announced a result that was concocted and a result that people never voted in. The whole process or exercise was rigging. The whole exercise was a cooked result. The whole exercise was rigged in the favor of a political party. And we are saying no to this. If we do not say no to this, it's unfortunate we are not going to have a good situation after this, because the generation that INEC is trying to provide today will not mean well for Nigeria if we don't stop it. Enough is enough of INEC, and we must correct the change and make a change. Expected that the international observers that came to observe the election will also have a penalty to spell out on politicians that failed or that went below the guidelines of INEC, even INEC itself. But unfortunately, we have not gotten any impact from that. We are still expecting the international observer to let us understand their own role in the conduct of just Saturday and presidential election. Whereas they failed to give us their own observation and the penalty of the observation, what is expected is that the youth will be mobilized. The youth will come out and then make sure that this government that has been imposed on the people get the best result by making sure that we do not have this system again. We must correct the system in whichever way we can. They should be prepared to see us correcting the system in our own way. Since Nigerians, since the government have refused or have failed to correct the system, it is our belief that the youth and the electorate must come out to correct the system, either by protest or by making a substantive demand that this process shouldn't stand, because there was no process like this. So it shouldn't stand in the first place. One thing. And that's why it becomes so disheartening to us that the police, our security agency that was supposed to protect the right of the electorate, was also being seen helping the politicians to perpetrate this crime. And that's why we're condemning the aspect of the police. We want the IG to switch into actions. The investigation that the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State has spelled out is not enough, because those that was found wanting, those that perpetrated this crime are known to the police. They are known to security agencies because they work together. So let them come out and penalize this process, so that if there could be another election or a rerun, we could also have sanity in the process. Without this, we are not going to have sanity in the process, because the paymasters are always there to make sure they paid to get their way. But we want to stop them, and we are out to stop them. Thank you. It's okay.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.